We'll begin with Ms. Shruti Sonani's presentation on artificial intelligence and plagiarism. So the stage is yours. Go ahead.
Hello everyone. So first my topic is that artificial intelligence and plagiarism, new challenges for academic integrity. My personal information, table of contents, and research question that how does the use of artificial intelligence in academic writing redefine plagiarism and challenge existing models of academic integrity in higher education. So hypothesis is that artificial intelligence produces form of authorship and textual production that existing plagiarism frameworks cannot adequately address. Therefore, academic integrity can be more effectively maintained through transparency based policies and educational approaches than through detection driven or purely punitive measures. And then we have this introduction that how this artificial intelligence used in this academic writing and all, and how people can become a victim of plagiarism. So that is the main point here. We can find that how the increasing use of artificial intelligence, particularly generative AI, in academic writing has disrupted traditional understandings of plagiarism and originality. That one main point here we can find that how people just rely on the artificial intelligence, that whatever work they have to do, they just copy paste it. So that is the main problem here. We can find that they cannot use their mind, their thinking at all. So that is the main problem here we can see. As a result, institutions risk treating all AI use as academic dishonesty, ignoring important distinctions between deliberate microduct and uninformed or poorly guided student practices. This study examines that how AI reshapes the meaning of plagiarism and argues for a shift from punishment-based models towards transparency, policy clarity, and educational intervention to uphold academic integrity in an AI-mediated academic environment. Then first that we here we can see this three artificial intelligence, human intelligence, and generative AI. That what is this? That first, artificial intelligence is an engineered system that driven by a computational agent or algorithm, and that perceives, learns, reasons, and performs in such a way that replicates a human cognitive function. And second is that human intelligence, that the mental capacity enabling individuals the ability to learn from experience, adapt to new situation at all. And then generative AI, that an engineered data driven subset of artificial intelligence designed to autonomously produce content based on learn patterns from large data sets and operating through rules based and statistical models. Then academic dishonesty versus uninformed writing. That first, we can see that critical distinction, that academic dishonesty, that how this it's defined as a violence of core ethical scholarship principles, that characterized by deliberate intents to deceive, includes the direct copying, like copy paste everything, mosaic plagiarism, improper summary, misuse of intellectual property. That how to use generative AI, and what kind of this limitations for using generative AI. So that is the main concern here. We can find that an uninformed writing, that characterized not by malice but by functional inability to execute scholarly tasks. And here appropriate response, here we can find that academic dishonesty requires disciplinary action, and uninformed writing requires educational intervention. Then the broader context, that rethinking originality, that in today's time also we can find that how people just use generative AI for any kind of work. So originality we cannot find in this. So that is the main challenge here we can see. So first, challenging traditional academic paradigms, that current policy problem, that dominant policies frame generative AI as a potential threat to academic integrity and the intellectual originality of students' submission, and proposed shift that need for redefinition of originality to effectively accommodate and integrate human AI collaboration endeavors. So focus on higher order thinking tasks and rather than simple recall. So that is the best. Then the balance, that the successful integration of AI in education lies not in avoidance or restriction but in thoughtful engagement, that you have to use AI but in in a border, that in which context have you used this AI. So that is important. Here the broader education philosophy, that what do we value in education, here is a spelling mistake. Then traditional educational goals, that knowledge acquisition and retention, then critical thinking and analysis. This is a traditional educational goal, that communication expression skills, so they have that much thinking skills and all. So that is the best. You have to use AI but in a this in a some points, that like in grammatical or in a contextual, you have to just revise it your writing. So that is the best use of AI. That the core question here we can find, that if AI can handle many traditional academic tasks, so what should education focus on developing in students? So here is some of the points we can find, that creativity, emotional intelligence, ethical judgment, and complex problem solving, and wisdom to use AI responsibility. Then the two-way transparency model, that first that building trust through reciprocal openness, that students, what is the students responsibility, that declares AI use honesty and completely, that in which context and how you can use AI. So that you have to specific for that, and document how AI contributed to works, so that in your work how AI is used, so that you have to mention. Institutional responsibility, that transparently explain how AI declarations are exceed. Then we have this main points, that while students must declare their AI use, institutions must be transparent about how such declarations will be assessed and the consequences of non-compliance. Then when students trust, fair evaluation and compliance increases. Then why students don't declare AI use? So they're afraid of this, that someone judge me differently. So that is the main problem. Here we can find that primary barriers to compliance, that fear of academic consequences, that concern about being unfairly judged or penalized, and also peer influence. Also we can find that ChatGPT is like the fourth main in group work. So that is also we can find here we can find the pros and cons. And the student perspective is that why student use AI beyond cheating, that legitimate use cases and the pressure factor. So here we can find that student voices, that they seldom discuss it amongst peers. There is something special about AI, it's all in or nothing. If we are not using the benefits of AI, then we look stupid. That we have to use AI but in limitations. A call for balanced integration. Also here we can find the education over punishment, policy clarity and ethical development. So that the final thought is that the goal should be equip scholars with the technical and cognitive skills to manage, synthesize and ethically represent knowledge under real world constraints. Then these are the futuristic this design of curriculum, that recommendation, that create a robust grading rubrics with quantitative measurement, and formulate student created research questions, promoting inquiry skills and adopt personalized task-based assignment tailoring to individual interest and requires analysis of case studies engaging application to realistic scenarios. So basically, the artificial intelligence has transformed plagiarism from a problem of textual copying into a problem of authorship and responsibility and ethical judgment. So that is the main point here we can find. These are the references. And thank you. If you have any question, feel free to ask.
Shruti, my question for you is how does the rise of automated knowledge production through AI redefine the fundamental mission of education?
So I have earlier also mentioned that the main challenges for education is to protect or develop the human judgment in a world that where machine can produce the knowledge automatically. So schools and universities must ensure that students think, decide, and evaluate for themselves. So that is learning remain human moral and intellectual activity, so not just a technical process handed by this machine. So that is answer.
Shruti, my question is how does transparency function as the more effective educational strategy than a punitive control in shaping ethical academic behavior?
Okay, transparency helps students understand that what is not what is not, and how we can this use ethically, and what so that we can find that student use to AI very responsibly, and also we can find that they have to think their action ethically, and rather than trying to hide their mistakes or avoid detection. So that is the answer of that. Thank you so much.
Very good afternoon, everybody. So today we are going to discuss about tools and techniques to detect plagiarism. So let's start. This is my personal information. Hypothesis: using plagiarism detection tool and techniques improves academic integrity by reducing unethical copying and encouraging proper citation practices. Here is my research question. What are the major tools and techniques used in plagiarism detection today? Second, how do techniques like n-gram matching and semantic similarity detect plagiarism beyond direct copy paste? What role do plagiarism detection tool play in improving academic writing quality at the postgraduate level? And then what are the strength and academic limitation of free online plagiarism checkers compared to institutional tools? So let's start from the introduction. Plagiarism detection is an essential academic practice that help identify textual similarity between a submitted work and already published sources. In postgraduate research, plagiarism is not only about copy paste writing, but it also includes a patchwork plagiarism, weak paraphrasing, and unethical source use. Therefore, modern plagiarism detection use both traditional similarity-based method and advanced AI-based method. Along with this technique, digital tools such as the Grammarly, Quitext, Dupli checkers, and another tools which provide accessible platform for checking originality and promoting research integrity. So here you can see that so many tools and techniques which help to detect plagiarism from our content. First here give a techniques and then types, and we can see major plagiarism tools. First, what is the plagiarism detection? So, similarity checking is the process of comparing a submitted document to a database of content to identify text matches. So, plagiarism detection used software or academic checking methods to identify textual similarity between a student's work and that work which already have published. These sources include so many websites, online articles, books, research journals, conference papers, and student papers repositories. Then here you can see that why plagiarism detection is matter, because it protects intellectual property. So due to plagiarism detection, author receive proper credit for their work. It's maintain the research credibility, strengthens the authenticity and reliability of scholarly writing, then prevents unethical academic practice, improves thesis and dissertation writing. It's also ensures original knowledge and original knowledge contribution. Then core techniques used in plagiarism detection. So here you can see that the list of technique which used in plagiarism. So we're going to discuss in detail. First, string matching. That means exactly we say in short. So copy paste. Then fingerprint. Fingerprint is a more advanced technique where document is converted into unique fingerprints. So the text is divided into chunk. That means small word group, and each chunk is turned into fingerprint code. Then the tools matches this code with fingerprint from other sources. Then the n-gram matching. In that, word is divided into word. 3 gram words means 3 gram means 3 words. 5 gram means 5 words. So a word is divided into gram. So it's break a sentence into small consecutive word groups and compare them with sources. Then semantic similarity. Use AI and NLP to detect similarity based on meaning and idea, not only exact words. It's convert text into meaning patterns and checks whether the sentence conveys the same concept as the source. Here you can see example. Patriarchy shaped the social identity of women. This is a source sentence, and student describe that woman's social identity is formed by patriarchal power. So we can see here that meaning is never changed, but sometimes student do that. They change the word, not meaning. So for search of that kind of content or plagiarism, this method is used. Then stylometry. It's detect plagiarism by analyzing the writer's style. So here this we can say this method is check the sentence length, vocabulary level, grammar pattern, punctuation, then connectors and paragraph structure. But it's one limitation of also that it's show only style mismatch, not a final proof. Then citation based detection. It's a check of whether sources are used ethically and correctly. It's detect missing citations, wrong MLA or APA format, fake references, citation manipulation. It's also very important to essential for a thesis writing, research paper, and academic documentation. Then now moving further, we see top 10 plagiarism detection tools. So if we see first, we can see here in this image that some for university level tools, some is students general tools. So first is a Grammarly plagiarism checkers. So you can see here that Grammarly check this website is important for document against billions of online sources to detect textual similarity. You can see here in this slide that when I add some content in this website, so describe that plagiarism is zero level, but your punctuation is we didn't find any plagiarism, but we found two writing issue. So it's very useful for us. Then Quantex, it's also one plagiarism checkers. It's used to also same way, but it's highlighted matched lines, source links, and similarity percentage. You can see here that when I add some content in this website, so it's described that 29% is original content and 71% is similarity detected. Then DupliChecker, so a free online plagiarism detection tools which used to check a text similarly against web-based sources, which describe a percentage of duplicate content, highlighted matches line, and source references. You can see here that it's described that your content is 100% plagiarism and 0% unique. And it's also working on same way, but it highlighted copied line, a percentage of plagiarism, and match sources. You can see this slide also, which content is plagiarism and highlighted. Then CopyScape, it's also very useful for us, which describe content writers, bloggers, publishers, and website owners. So we can see here that describe that which content is tracked from which website or link. Then so plagiarism detection is not simply a process of catching cheating. It is a scholarly method that strengthens original credibility and ethical research writing, while basic techniques like string matching detect direct copying, advancing methods such as a semantic similarity and stylometry identify paraphrasing and authorship inconsciously. Similarly, tools like Grammarly and these other tools support student at the draft level, various academics research, and another work also. So here is my learning outcomes. This is a reference. Now, have any questions? So please ask.
My question is for you that why is patchwork plagiarism considered the most difficult form for traditional plagiarism software to detect?
Yes, this patchwork plagiarism, it's very difficult, or we can say different from traditional, because if we see traditional tools which try to search plagiarism, so it's try to search in that way. They search word to word which similar content which describe a similar content, so that that present as a plagiarism. But it's punctuation is not like that. It's a describe it's a start to divide a sentence or word in the some parts, and their parts try to give some sources specific which have a related to specific website or link. So punctuation is try to describe in different way. So this is very difficult or different from tradition. Anyone?
Krishna, my question is, what are the limitation of free plagiarism checkers?
Yes. Uh, Limitations of free plagiarism checkers. So it's we can say it's free for everyone. But if we see it's the limitation. So it's very we can say sometimes it's mostly based on which source which has a based on web, not paid to journals, books, or university database. And it's also sometimes have a limitation to word or sentence or specific content per day. So sometimes it can be happen that due to lack of content, plagiarism can't we get got properly. So thank you. This is for my side.
Hello everyone, I am Nikita Vara. Today I am presenting evaluating source credibility in the digital age. So table of contents. These are my personal information, and the research question is that how can source credibility be effectively evaluated in the digital age where information is shaped by algorithmic systems, diverse publication practices, and varying the standard of academic authority. And the hypothesis is that source credibility in the digital age can be effectively evaluated by integrating traditional academic evaluations criteria with a critical digital literacy that account for algorithmic influence and platform bias. In introduction, the digital age has fundamentally transformed the productions, circulations, and consumptions of the information. Online platforms search. Online platforms, search engines, and social media provides rapid access to a vast range of sources. However, they also blur the distinctions between credible academic knowledge and unreliable or misleading content. As a result, researchers, students, and general readers increasingly encounter sources that appear authoritative in the presentation but lack scholarly legitimacy and methodological rigor. And consequently, evaluating source credibility has become a central challenge in the contemporary research. While traditional academic standards such as peer review, authorship, and evidence-based reasoning remains essential, they are now shaped by algorithmic systems, commercial interests, and platform-specific bias that influence visibility and perceived authority. This study examines how credibility can be effectively evaluated in the digital age by integrating established academic evaluations criteria with the critical digital literacy and awareness of algorithmic influence, thereby offering a comprehensive approach to credibility assessment in the modern academic context. So first we see in CRAP test, means CRAP test, means C means currency, R means relevance, A means authority, second A means accuracy, and P means purpose. So in this framework, provide a structure epistemologic filter for evaluating information before incorporating it into scholarly work. It prevent arbitrary source selections and introduces systematic critical judgment. So in the accuracy ensures temporal validity, particularly in the rapidly evolving discipline. Outdated and data can distort the contemporary analysis. And the relevance maintains argumentative coherence by aligning sources directly with research questions. And authority foreground institutional legitimacy and disciplinary expertise, reinforcing epistemic trust. And accuracy emphasizing verifiability and evidence-based reasoning and central to scholarly rigor. And the purpose is uncovers ideological, commercials, or persuasive motives behind the content creations. By the applying these criteria, researcher reduces susceptibility to misinformation and enhance methodological reliability. Next is this is infography of this a researcher's guide to source evolutions through this graph. Currency, purpose, or accuracy, relevance, and authority. In the accuracy, currency is the information timely when it's published, where this information purpose, why was this created. Accuracy is the content reliable, and the relevance is does it fit your research. And authority is who is the creator of this work. So the impact of systematic evolution or combating misinformations, enhancing methodological reliability, avoiding arbitrary selections. So after we seen peer review process and academic versus non-academic sources, in the these distinctions clarifies hierarchical credibility structures within a knowledge productions. The peer reviews process subject research to expert scrutiny, ensuring the methodological soundness and theoretical contributions. And peer review functions as a quality control within academic discourse communities. Academic sources demonstrate transparency, citations, and institutional banking. And non-academic sources may lack editorial oversight and require heightened scrutiny. So understanding these distinctions prevent equivalence between scholarly research and unverified online opinion, and preserving academic integrity. So this is infography of this. One side is a foundation of this pillar is not broken, and this side is broken in the non-academic source. And another thing is critical digital literacy and algorithmic bias. In this dimension, extend credibility evolution beyond the content to the technological system that mediate information visibility. Algorithmic curations, search engine, and social media platform rank content based on the engagement, not a truth. In the filter bubbles and echo chambers, platform bias, and digital redlining, the algorithm can reproduce racial and social inequalities, affecting was knowledge gains visibility and SEO manipulations. This framework acknowledges that the credibility is not only textual but also infrastructure. This is an infography of this. And identify bias and misinformation. In this information, false content shared without harmful intent, and disinformation is a deliberate fabrications designed to deceive. And in this approach, integrate rhetorical analysis with media literacy, strengthening interpretative rigor. So these infographics about this, and tool for verifications. These are tools: fact checking platforms, cross references claim with primary evidence, reverse image search, domain analysis, and later reading. What could education ministry do? So this expanded the discussion from individual responsibility to systemic reform. The developed standardized international news literacy curriculum, and collaborated with the library to integrate structures, information evaluating training, and reform journalism education to include algorithm awareness and digital verification, institutionalize critical digital literacy from secondary education onward. So in the conclusion, ultimately strengthening source credibility evaluations is essential not only for maintaining academic rigor but also for supporting information knowledge productions in the digital age. These are references, and thank you. If anybody has question.
My question is that how researchers effectively evaluate source credibility in algorithm-driven digital environment?
Researchers can evaluate the credibility by integrating traditional academic criteria with critical digital literacy, and in including awareness of algorithmic bias and verifications of tools.
So Nikita, my question is that why has evaluating source credibility become more complex in this digital age?
So, an evaluating source has credibility become more complex because digital platform enable unrestricted publications and algorithmic ranking that prioritize visibility over visibility over and accuracy in this context. And another thing is making credibility and unreliable sources both equally prioritized. So this is from my side. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I am going to present the evolution of academic writing standard from classic rhetoric to the digital frontier. This is my academic information. Research question: how have academic writing standards changed from ancient record keeping to AI assisted scholarship? Hypothesis: academic writing standards have evolved from simple record keeping to structured technology driven scholarship. It is hypothesized that advance in communication technology and knowledge system progressively increased expectation for evidence, citation, and transparency, making modern academic writing more regulated, accessible, and credibility focused, while redefining authorship, originality, and authority in a global scholarly communication. This is table of contents. Introduction. Academic writing standards have evolved over centuries through cultural, technology, and intellectual changes, beginning with the early record-keeping system like Sumerian clay token. They gradually incorporated rhetoric, evidence, citation, and ethical norm. Writing shift from personal experience to an objective specialized form. Today, digital technologies, transparency practice, linguistic debates, and artificial intelligence continue to reshaping expectation for clarity, accessibility, credibility, and responsible authorship in global scholarship. And then, ancient foundation, the birth of the data. Accounting as a proto-writing. The earliest academic record were not stories, but a Sumerian clay token used for 8,000 years to track goods. So, in the earlier age, how they were remember things. So, they use a Sumerian clay or a stone to remember that what is in the place where they store the goods, and how much and how many things are there. Then the abstract shift around 3100 BC, Sumerian moved from physical token to impressed sign on clay tables, making the birth of a data representation, the ancestor of the modern research table. So first they used this Sumerian clay, in which they use physical stone and clay, but now they are writing in a clay table, in which they draw things to remember what are they storing and all those things. And after that after so many years they start writing from that drawing and all. Then transition to logic. Greek rhetoric, Aristotle introduced the logos, logic, ethos, credibility, and pathos, emotion, tried, which still dictates the perceived structure of a modern abstract. Then the Enlightenment and the birth of evidence, the scientific revolution. Before the 17th hundreds, truth was often driven from religious texts or royal decree. The Enlightenment shift authority to imperial observation. Then early scientific journals. The philosophical transition of the Royal Society began requiring description of experiments so other could replicate them. The footnotes arrival. The 18th century show the rise of the critical footnote, allowing author to separate their primary argument from secondary evidence, a major structure evolution. Then 19th century professionalization, from flattery to theft. In the Renaissance, copying was a sign of respect. The modern concept of plagiarism emerged only with the individualistic view of authorship in the 18th century. So, in the Renaissance, copying was considered as the ideal thing, an ethical thing, because they think that whoever they are copying, they are admiring them and giving acknowledgement to them. Then detecting technology. The 2000 show the rise of TrueNet and cross for changing the standard from don't lie to ensure your similarity index is below 15%. Originality as a currency. Modern standards focus heavily on self-plagiarism and the ethical rescue of one's own data. So in this, they say that originality is considered as currency, because many time researchers also plagiarize their own work they have done, and they don't cite that. So it's not considered as ethical in the era of the research. Then late 20th century transparency standard. Combating bias. The 1919s show a crisis in sloppy reporting. The Concert and Prisma guidelines were created to force author to report every participant and every failed try. Then the statistical shift. Requirements move from simple p-values to complex effect size and confidential intervals. Then checklist culture. High impact journals now require author to submit reporting checklist alongside their manuscript. So in checklist culture, they have to report everything, and whoever they have taken ideas or any particular only even one sentence, they have to cite them in their whatever work they are doing in research or journals. Then theoretical framework, the function of standards. Academic writing serve as a gatekeeping mechanism that ensure quality but also detect who is allowed to participate in the global discourse. Objectivity versus subjectivity. Historically, writing was a personal narrative. Today, it is a specialized genre defining by impersonality. So we have to objectify the work we are doing in research. Then hedging, so we have to use I know that, like, not that but probably or maybe that word. Then intertextuality, so how one work is connected to another work is also shown. Then the digital disruption, hypertextuality, that how uh, links are used in digital era. Then alternative, the paper structure, not just by citation but weights news. So in digital era, admiration also, work of how important or ethical work is research is also defined by quiz, news and blog. Then visual abstract, so in many medical British medical journal, they use infographic for the research or journal. Then decolonization in plain language. Then the AI era, generative writing took, like ChatGPT have for a rewrite of ethics statements. Author must now disclose if AI assistant is drafting or data analysis. Then human authorship, the debate shift from who wrote this or who is responsible for the accuracy of this. So in this we can say that if someone has taken some part from AI or any AI platform, so they have to be responsible for that. Then this is the entire infographic of my presentation. Then conclusion. The history of academic writing shows that its standards are evolving convention shaped by social force, technology and changing knowledge system. From ancient symbol to AI assistant scholarship, each phase has redefined credibility and authorship. While modern norms stress transparency, originality, and responsibility, they also introduce challenges like linguistic inequality and algorithmic influence. The future will likely demand a balance between technological efficiency, intellectual integrity, and inclusive global participation. This is my work cited. Thank you. If you have any question, please ask.
So, Nirali, my question is that what role does peer review play in shaping academic writing conventions?
So in peer review, helpful for the researcher, because once a expert review their work, like if the work is ideal and if the language is formal, then if evidence are true or not, this kind of things are reviewed by expert. And if with that, researchers who have gave their work to them can be assured that their work are ideal enough to be published in the any research or journal. Any other question?
So, Nirali, my question is, how does academic writing differs across disciplines such as science, humanities, and social science?
So academic writing is different in science, humanity, and social science, because they each subject are studying different things. So in all of them, their academic writing is different. Like in science, the writing is more factual and mm, uh, uh, more factual, because they focus on data and result and evidence, while humanities writing is more descriptive and analytic, because humanities focus is more on the text, history and culture, while the social science academic writing is mix of both, because it also collect the data and also connect with society and human behavior. So thank you so much. This is from my side.
Hello everyone. My today's presentation topic is research method versus research methodology, understanding the difference in academic research. These are my academic information, table of content. So my research question is, to what extent does misunderstanding of distinction between research method and methodology affect research design and academic quality? My hypothesis, despite the frequent interchangeable use of terms research method and methodology in academic writing, they are fundamentally distinct concepts, and misunderstanding this distinction significantly weakens research design justification of techniques and overall academic quality. So in introduction, now we know that the academic writing, and in the academic writing, so many scholars are confused in both term, in research method and research methodology. So it is important to know the this distinction between these both term, method and methodology, because they are different in both term, and this confusion can lead to a weak research design, and it can affect reliability and validity of the study. So sometimes when the scholars are confused about that both term, so it can be a weak research area of their. And first, what understanding research as a scientific process. So, research is defined as an orderly, systematic, and ethical process. And what is the aim of the research is to solve our problems. It plays a crucial role in human progress and developmental across multiple disciplines, medicine, technology, and social science. So here are some objectives of research. We can examine our problems through research and develop our we can develop our new systems and procedures, and we can explain a new phenomena, and in the we can generate a new knowledge for the people through the research. First, what is research method? So, research method, I want to use one word for that. Research method is connected is what? So, a research method is a systematic and structured procedure used by a researcher to collect, analyze, and interpret data in order to answer a research question and to solve that research problem. So here are some classification of research method like data collection, analytical methods, evaluation method. So questionnaire, and there are some methods. We can say that there are research method, and meaning of methodology. So we can say that methodology is a broad narrative, and method is like a tool in for which tool we want to do our research. So it's a method, but methodology is a broad narrative. Method is part of methodology. So a methodology is a systematic way to solve research problems, the science of studying how research is carried out. So what the methodology connect with the two words like why and how. So why they are used and how they are applied. What are the assumptions of them? So those problems and questions are connected with research methodology. So here we can find that difference between method and methodology. So research method focus on what research conducted, and methodology questions that why that particular method and how. So the method is narrow down, and methodology is broad. So its methods nature is practical and operational, while methodologies conceptual and theoretical. So methods are, we can say that data collection, that surveys, interviews, experiment. We can say that there are tools, methods in which tool we want to do our research, and here are our research design, philosophy, assumption. Those are, we can say that the methodology. One methods are questionnaire, survey, laboratory experience. Those are we can say that method, while that qualitative approach and quantitative approach and mixed method, we can say that are methodology. So here is the two examples. First one is example of literature, and second one is scientific. So first of all, topic is employment of figures of speech in literature, English literature. So the method of this topic can be studied, studying poets' work, analyzing figures of speech. It can be method, and methodology is studying research tools, collecting manuscript, applying critical technique. So it can be methodology. And as that, here is another example of that scientific research, and how methodology awareness important. So it's important because of we understand that assumptions underlying the technique. We know what is our criteria in our methods, and we can clarify and justify decisions before implement the method. So it can be our awareness of methodology. And here is a infographic. In infographic, you can find that one side is methodology, another side is method, which connects with practical tools, and methodology is beginning of journey. And in the methodology pillar, theoretical framework, research design, approach, while in the methods pillar, data collection, analyze, and data interpretation, which are tools of methods. And to conclude my presentation, we can say that research method and research methodology is a difference, but while that methods is referred to specific techniques, procedures used to collect data, analyze the data, while methodology provides a broader framework and explain how and why methods are selected and applied in our research. So this clarity and credibility are important our research because of our pure and clarity of our research proposal and research method. So that is from my side. These are my references. Thank you. Now you are free to ask questions.
So, Nishta, my question is, what is the difference between research method and research methodology in your dissertation, and how have you applied both in your study?
Yes, Nikita. My dissertation topic is reading through disability, dyslexia, pedagogy, family dynamics in the movie Tare Zameen Par. So my methodology can be that theory, disability theory and film studies theory, that both theory can be my methodology. Because how? Because that theory is my main point, and that theory through I want to analyze the movie Tare Zameen Par. So my methods can be through the dyslexia, how that in the movie which are scenes represent that pedagogy and family dynamics. So that are my methods in my dissertation topic. Thank you.
My question is, suppose two research scholar use the same method, can their methodology be different?
Yes, Nirali. If that two research scholar methods are same, but their methodology can be different. Why? Because like they to use that interview. So in the one scholars only use that interview, and when the another scholar add that questionnaire in interview, so their analytical are can be in different, because one is only analyze from the interview, but another scholar add that questionnaire form, and that questionnaire form he or she can compare with another. So yes, that their methodology can be different. So that is from my side. Thank you.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. This is Rajdeep Bavalia, and today I am going to present on the topic the ontology of the text in the age of platforms, rethinking MLS container model. These are my academic details and presentation details. Table of contents, introduction. So, the shifting ontology of textuality. So, the digital transition necessitates a fundamental re-evaluation of textual ontology beyond traditional print paradigms. As scholar Iles observes, our notions of textuality are shot through with assumptions specific to print. So, this presentation begins by acknowledging that our current definitions of text are historically contingent. We must critically examine how the shift from physical pages to digital screens alters the very nature of what constitutes a work. And traditional concepts of the book are being challenged by the fluidity of digital media. Derrida famously posits that the end of linear writing is indeed the end of the book, even if new writings are still encased in book forms. So here we considered the idea that book as a bounded linear container is dissolving. The presentation explores how digital formats disrupt the linearity and closure that defined the print era, requiring new theoretical frameworks. And the materiality of the text is no longer self-evident but requires active critical attention. As Bertrand argues that a text on a screen has almost no value. The mediation by the computer has rendered its presence immersively. We must move beyond the illusion of textual stability to understand text as a dynamic event. And McGann asserts that variation in other words is the invariant rule of the textual condition. Here is my research question. Does the MLS container metaphor adequately capture the ontology of digital text, or does it obscure the active political mediation of platform infrastructures? With the hypothesis that the container model imposes a print-centric stability on digital text, masking their true nature as fluid algorithmic process that are actively engineered, not merely hosted by the platforms that display them. The first point, the MLA container model and bibliographical logic. So the MLA handbook's 9th edition shifts focus from a publication format to a template of core elements. It states that instead of asking writers to document a work by first identifying its publication format, the MLS method asks writers to evaluate sources using a comprehensive set of standard criteria. So this examines the current academic standard for citation. It explains how the MLA has moved away from rigid lists of formats to a more flexible system that asks researchers to assess the components of a source dynamically. And the concept of the container is central to this new bibliographic framework. The handbook defines this clearly. Accommodates this model accommodates recursive nesting where one container resides within another. And the MLA notes that a container can be contained by another container. For example, an essay can appear in a print book, and that book can be digitized on a website. But however, this container logic assumes a passive vessel for content delivery. This contrasts with the reality that infrastructure is sunk into inside of other structures, social arrangements, and technologies. Then deconstructing the platform, active mediator versus passive container. So platforms are not a neutral space, but active agents in shaping communication. Sinesk argues that while often presenting themselves as empty space for others to interact on, they in fact embody politics. So the technical architecture of platforms intervenes in the social performance of the text. And one suggests that a platform is a mediator rather than a intermediary. So commercial interests drive the design of these digital architectures. And Sinex notes that these companies are far from being mere owners of information, and these companies are becoming owners of the infrastructures of society. Then the ontology of digital text, process over object. So digital textuality must be understood as a process rather than a static artifact. I'll argue that it would be more accurate to call an electronic text a process rather than an object. So this introduces the core ontological shift, that because digital text depends on code execution and hardware states, they exist as a continuous event of generation rather than stable physical objects. And the attempt to stabilize digital text for a scholarship is often misguided, as one and Andrews contend that to define the purpose of textual scholarship as a stabilization of text is therefore fallacious. And digital texts constitute a distinct ontological category with unique properties. As Van and Andrews claim, our claim is that these texts belong to a distinct ontological category. They are true digital objects with inalienable digital properties. So, this independence of digital text, it should not be viewed merely as a surrogate for a print, but as a unique type of entity requiring its own theoretical and analytical tools. Then materiality and infrastructure in the digital age. So materiality in the digital age is an emergent property of interaction. And Hiles explained that materiality is not a pre-given entity, but rather a dynamic process that changes as the focus of attention shifts. And digitalization involves a layer of invisible writing that organizes the visible data. And these infrastructures exert a subtle but powerful politics of form. As Boker and Starr argue that information technology operates through invisible politics of forms and bureaucracy. Then the myth of fixity, historical and digital perspectives. So the stability of print was never inherent but socially constructed. As John argues that fixity was in the eye of the beholder, and its recognition could not be maintained without a continuing effort. And the literary work cannot be known apart from its specific material existence. As Megan asserts, literary works do not know themselves and cannot be known apart from their specific material modes of existence or resistance. Then authorship and agency in the algorithmic era. So the concept of the author is a function of a discourse, not just a person. Foucault argues that the author function is therefore a characteristic of the mode of existence, circulation, and functioning of certain discourses within a society. Then semantic web solutions and ontological modeling. Standardized data models are needed to handle bibliographic diversity. As Deacon and etc. all note that adoption of a single data model would facilitate data integration task regardless of data supplier or context application. And new ontology is allow us to characterize citations rhetorically. And a conclusion toward a new textual ontology. So the container model is a useful but insufficient heuristic for the platform edge. While MLA provides a method for a citation, it risks obscuring that platforms are digital infrastructures that enable two or more groups to interact. And we must recognize the costly presence of digital text. As Gervais puts it, instead of a corporeal text, the sheer materiality of page and book, we have the cost text of cyberspace. Here are my learning outcomes. These are the references. Thank you, everyone. Now, if you have any questions.
So my question is, if digital texts change or vanish before a professor checks them, is citation verification or absolute? Must we move from citing URLs to archiving specific version of essays?
So verification is not like absolute, and by just citing simple URLs is failing in today's time, because the online content is constantly changing. And to counter that, scholars or students must stop to cite just simple locations or URLs of the text, and they should start archiving the specific versions of text using tools like Wayback Machine, which is archive.org, or like specific digital object identifiers, DOIs. So this ensures that the text you have analyzed, it remains available for others to verify.
Radhip Bavadia, my question is, how does ontology shift when the writer is an AI? If text is generated ad hoc and never exists until prompt, is it a real object or just a statistical probability?
So when AI generates a text, the text shifts from a stored object to like a temporary event. So text does not exist before you ask for it. It is simply a mathematical prediction that calculated at that specific moment. And so that type of text can like not be considered as a statistical reality, because the chats you are dealing with, any AI chats bots can be deleted also. So it is more like an performance that disappears when that specific calculation ends, or you rather delete that chat. Okay, thank you, everyone.
On a broader level, when we think of, you can sit, it's fine. What he pointed out, to answer your question in this case, is that if the text itself is fluid or is non-existent until it is prompted, then what we are now considering is the idea that there is no consolidation possible as far as any concepts of academic integrity or plagiarism or anything, because the texts which are accessed through, read through, created through, understood through screens, right, they all exist, and that is what Hales argues, right? All of their materiality is very fluid. So then you cannot have any consolidation, any final verdict on this is the standard one, or let's say this is the ideal one. So there is no structure as such. So then how will you, that is where the crisis lies right now, right? That if all texts are fluid and all texts are non-existent until prompted, how can you have a version of the text as the ideal version? What would be the structure of a research paper if it exists like this? What would be the structure of a thesis if it exists like this? So that is where the question lies now. And it is still unanswered as such. So, yeah. Okay, Rosemary.
So, hello everyone. My presentation topic about the plagiarism and the academic integrity in the age of AI, preventions and the ethical responsibility in the academic writing. This is my personal information, table of content. My research question: how does the increasing use of AI assistance writing a tool influence plagiarism, authorship, citation practice, and the ethical responsibility in the academic writing within a higher education? My hypothesis, the responsibility and a transparency use of AI assistance writing tools supported by a clear citation practice and the institutional guidelines can maintain academic integrity where unregulated use increase the risk of plagiarism in a higher education. Introduction: plagiarism is become a serious issue in a college and a university today. With a fast growth of digital technology, the way students research and write has changed significantly. AI tools are now commonly used in academic work, making writing faster and more conventions. However, writing technology make learning easier. It also create a new risk from academic dishonesty, as the saying goes, with great technology come a great responsibility. This raises import questions like how can we maintain academic honesty in the integrity in the age of AI? Understanding of plagiarism. So, what is the plagiarism? Plagiarism means using someone else's ideas, work, and information without the giving a proper credit. It include a copying text without a citation and presenting another person's work as your own. The word plagiarism come from the Latin word plagiarius, which means a kidnapper. So, according in MLA notebook, to plagiarize means to commit a literary thief and to present as a new and original and origin idea of a product device from a exciting source. This show that plagiarism involves two main wrongs like intellectual thief and fraud. As some people say that talking someone's words without a credit, it is stealing ideas. Plagiarism can approach in a different form. Some common types are like accidental plagiarism, direct plagiarism, mosaic plagiarism, paraphrasing plagiarism, and self plagiarism. Academic integrity. So, academic integrity means being honest in research and writing, giving a proper credit to all source, following academic and intellectual role. For examples, our literature review also come in academic integrities. According to research and academic integrity protect the value of education. It builds a trust between the student, teacher, and institution. It support a fairness and equal evaluation.
Consequences of plagiarism. Plagiarism does not affect only on one student, it affects the whole academic system. So from student, they fear to loss of marks, fear failure in the subject, suspensions on expulsions, loss of academic credibilities, and a weak development of research and writing skill. So plagiarism also stop real learning. Instead of developing knowledge and a critical thinking, students depend on a shortcut. So from institution level, like a damage to institutional respect, loss of public trust, weakening of academic stand, and the ethical and legal risks. When a plagiarism increases, the value of education decreases. So, as a long-term impact, like a poor ethical development, negative impact on academic and research culture, and according to the MLA handbook, plagiarism is a serious academic offense, and the many and may result in a strict penalties. Academic integrity in the age of AI. So, AI tools in academic writing, artificial intelligence tools like a ideas quickly, help prepare a draft, improve grammar and clarity, and most important, save your times. But according to the researching academic integrity in the age of AI offer benefit in education, but it also raises the concerns about the academic misconduct. Risks of AI misuse. So, submitting student submitted the AI generated content without a revision, not understand that. Not understand the material, weak critical thinking, loss of personal voice, unclear unclear authorship. AI generated text may not reflect the student's own insight. So, a technology is a tool, not a replacement for effect. AI can help you write, but it cannot think for you. Ethical use of AI. So you can use AI from a guidance and idea support, rewrite in your own words, fully understand your submissions, follow institutional AI policies, and maintain intellectual responsibility. MLA and a proper documentation. So follow MLA handbook guidelines, like cite all source clearly, include a complete work site page, maintain a transparency and the credibilities. Even AI aside of writing require proper citation. In a final ideas like academic integrity in the AI age means a responsible use of technology, ethical awareness, proper citations, intellectual honesty. Prevention strategies like proper prefacing, correct quotation and citations, plagiarism checkers, and a good research habit. So proper prefacings like understand first and write later. Correct quotations and cite first when it dubbed to cite, and plagiarism checkers, like you can use Grammarly to help students check similarity in their work before a submission. And a good research habit, like a good research habit help to prevent a plagiarism. Students should start assignment earlier, plan their writing step by step, and keep clear note of all source. Future challenges, like writing in the AI area. In the AI area, academic writing face a new challenge. This is a growing use of AI generated essays and easy access to unlimited online information. This increases the risk of over dependency on the technology and reduce. Therefore, strong digital literacy skill, critical thinking, and the ethical awareness are institutions must also provide a clear guideline from a responsible AI use and education. This is my learning outcome. Conclusion, plagiarism remain a serious academic issue in the higher education. In the age of AI, maintaining academic integrity is more important than ever. So a student must be honest in their work, give a proper credit to all source, use AI responsible, maintain their own voice, and follow academic rules and guidelines. True education is not about the shortcut, but about the learning with understanding and effect. This is my resource. Thank you. Any have any questions?
Rosmin, my question is, why is citation still important in the age of AI?
Nistha, because in age of AI, citations connect the transparency of knowledge. They provide as a proof that we are study this in this article, source, etc. That why AI in also you can as you can anyone AI tool you can use, but give a citation properly is a very important.
So my question is, what is the relationship between academic integrity and professional ethics?
So academic integrity and professional ethics are both are connected, because integrity is about the uh, rule of your honesty in in our professional life, and professional ethics connected is they gave plagiarisms to gave guidelines for rules. Thank you. This is my side.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to present objectivity and voice in academic writing. Academic information. My research question is, how does academic writing balance objectivity and authorial voice? And to what extent does this balance influence the credibility, interpretation, and persuasiveness of research, particularly in the humanities? Hypothesis: although academic writing emphasizes objectivity, complete neutrality is neither possible nor desirable in humanities research. A balanced integration of evidence-based objectivity and a controlled academic voice enhances the credibility, interpretative depth, and persuasiveness of scholarly work. Table of contents. Introduction. Academic writing is defined as a formal, structured style of writing used in universities and scholarly publications to communicate research and idea to the academic community. Academic writing is not merely a method of presenting information, it is a discipline, a form of intellectual expression. In research methodology, clarity, structure, and credibility are essential components of scholarly communications. So, these two, objectivity and voice, are central principles that shape effective academic writing. Objectivity ensures that arguments are supported by evidence rather than a personal opinion, while voice establishes the writer's analytical authority and clarity of thought. Though academic writing traditionally emphasizes neutrality and formal tone, it does not eliminate the writer's presence. Instead, it refines and controls that presence within the boundaries of scholarly discipline. Objectivity in academic writing. So, objectivity in academic writing refers to a neutral, evidence based approach to presenting arguments. According to the principle emphasized in MLA Handbook for writers and research paper, a research writing should avoid a personal bias and unsupported opinions. Objectivity means avoid a personal bias, using evidence to support claims, maintaining formal tone, and avoiding emotional language. Features of academic writing. So, academic writing follows a structure and formal style, is emphasized in the MLA Handbook for Writers Research paper. It is designed to communicate ideas clearly, logically, and responsibly. So, key features of academic writing. So, a formal tone. So, avoid the slang and conversational language. Then, clarity and precision. User clear vocabulary and avoids vague expression. Then, evidence based argument. So, support claims with a textual reference and scholarly sources. Then, logical organization. So, presents ideas in a coherent structure. Then, objectivity. So, avoids personal biases and emotional exaggeration. Proper documentation. Academic voice in scholarly writing. So, academic voice refers to a writer's intellectual presence in a research writing. It is not a personal or a emotion or opinion, rather than it is the controlled and confident expression of analysis within a formal framework. Academic writing voice is developed through a clear thesis statement, then analytical verbs, logical structure, confident tone, and evidence based claim. For example, it seems like the poem is kind of about sadness. So instead of this, we write like this: the poem constructs an atmosphere of grief through recurring imagery of silence and decay. Developing academic voice. Academic voice is not automatic, it is constructed through conscious revision and rhetoric control. So it develops through, first is positioning your argument. So instead of merely describing the text, the writer must clear interpretative stance. Then second is integrating sources strategically. Then third is controlling sentence structure. So long focused sentences weaken voice. So balanced precise sentence enhance authority. Revising for precision. Academic voice emerges during revision, removing vagueness, repetition, and unnecessary words. Use of first person in MLA. So in academic writing, certainty must be handled carefully. So if they cannot be fully proven, for this reason, scholars use hedging, a rhetoric strategy that moderates assertions. Hedging does not show a weakness; it demonstrates critical awareness. Why hedging is matter? So it acknowledges complexity, it leaves a room for alternative interpretation, it reflects a scholarly humanity, it strengthens objectivity. For example, this theory proves that colonialism destroyed all native culture. So instead of this theory suggests that colonialism significantly disrupted indigenous cultural system. The tension between objectivity and authority. So, academic writing demands objectivity, yet it also requires the right to present a strong, persuasive argument. This creates a productive tension. How can a writer remain a neutral while advancing a clear position? Excessive neutrality may result in mechanical writing that merely reports information without analysis. So, on the other hand, excessive assertiveness may appear biased or unsupported. too neutral, more authoritative. So authority in academic writing does not contradict objectivity. It depends on evidence, clarity, logical reasoning. Common mistakes that weaken academic voice. So even well-researched paper can lose authority if the writer fails to maintain a control over tone and structure. So overuse of emotional language. In our dissertation also we faces all those things. Emotional language we not use, bias languages we not use. So academic writing avoids dramatic exaggerations, then vague or uncertain phrasing, imprecise expressions reduce authority, then excessive quotations. Relying too heavily on sources can silence the writer's own analysis. Academic voice requires interpretation, not complication. Lack of paragraph unity. When paragraphs lack a clear focus, the argument loses coherence and impact. The role of revision in achieving objectivity and voice. So, academic voice is rarely perfect in the first draft. It develops through a careful revision, reflection, and refinement. Objectivity and voice in research writing. So, in research methodology, objectivity and voice function as two interdependent forces that shape scholarly discourse. They are not contradictory. They work together to produce a credible and persuasive academic writing. So, objectivity provides the structural foundation of research. It demands careful evaluation and evidence, fair acknowledgement, alternative perspective, responsible documentation of sources. Academic voices articulates a clear thesis, guides the reader through argumentation, interprets rather than merely summarized, demonstrate the analytical confidence. Thus, effective research writing balances a discipline, neutrality with interpretative authority. Objectivity ensures a fairness, voice, ensure originality. Together, they elevate academic writing from information to insight. Conclusion: objectivity and voice are central to effective academic writing in research methodology, while objectivity safeguards scholarly integrity through evidence, logic, and neutrality. Voice allow the researcher to establish intellectual presence and analytical depth. According to the principles outlined in the MLA handbook, academic writing must maintain clarity, fairness, and proper documentation. However, research writing is not a merely mechanical adherence of rules. It is a disciplined form of argument. In literary research, especially interpretation and arguments are essential. Thus, academic writing becomes not just a presentation of information, but a meaningful contribution to knowledge. Here I put notebook LM's infography to present my whole presentation in one slide. Evidence-based neutrality, power of hedging, formal tone discipline, revision as a tool, then control intellectual presence from descriptive to interpretation. Here is my references and thank you.
So my question is, why is academic voice important if research must be objective?
Academic voice is important because research is not about fact based, but it also about interpretation. Voice also gives or helps writer to present their ideas clearly, and also voice guide readers. Without a voice, research writing become research become dull. So.
A question: how researcher develop a strong academic voice?
Researcher develop a strong academic voice through examine scholarly articles, and also see that how they are present all those arguments and academic researcher develop a strong academic through also practice and feedback. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Today I am with reframing plagiarism, psychological motivation within a historical and digital context. This is my self-introduction. And today's my presentation research question is how can plagiarism reform by examining its psychological motivation within the historical and digital context. And my research hypothesis is plagiarism is significantly influenced by a psychological motivation shaped by a historical and academic norms and digital learning environment. Introduction. Plagiarism has become a significant concern in a contemporary academia, especially within a rapidly expanding digital learning environment. With easy access to online source and academic database and AI assistant tools, students now navigate a complex landscape where information is abounded, but authorship norms and remain strict. As a result, plagiarism is often viewed primarily as an ethical violence, requiring disciplinary action. However, reducing plagiarism to simple dishonesty overlooks its deeper dimension. This presentation reframe plagiarism by examining its historical evolution, cultural construction, and psychological motivation, and the impact of digital context. Understanding the interconnected factor allow for more nuanced and educational approach to academic integrity. And also, I am using some source to show how many people of only just control C or V using 79.5 engagement rate percent people use only control C and control V. Theoretical framing of plagiarism. Plagiarism is generally defined as presenting another person word or ideas without a proper acknowledgement and is treated by academic institution as a violence of intellectual integrity. This is our fourth sem, and now we know what is the actual plagiarism, because this is the fourth sem. We are deliberately connected with AI. So I'm not going to what is deal with what is the real plagiarism, but now I'm deal with how historical work. However, scholars argue that it is not a fixed moral category. It is a meaning depends on institutional rules, disciplinary norms, and evolving standard of originality. From a theoretical perspective, plagiarism is a socially constructed citation practice regulate how acknowledge knowledge is credited and circulated within the academia. Therefore, plagiarism reflects an institutional and cultural framework rather than a merely individual dishonesty. Historical construction of plagiarism. In early classic and medieval tradition, imitation was a respected method of learning, and originality was not the primary rule. The modern concept of plagiarism emerged during the Enlightenment when individual authorship, creativity, and intellectual property become central to academic culture. With the growth of print culture, knowledge become an associate with personal ownership rather than collective tradition. Over time, universities formalize rules against the plagiarism, define it as an academic option. So, what was once imitation become labeled as intellectual theft and subject to institutional discipline. This shift show that plagiarism is historically constructed rather than a timeless moral category. But nowadays, we also the traditional definition of plagiarism is now is AI challenging cultural perspective on plagiarism. Plagiarism is not understood in the same way across a culture. Western academic traditions strongly emphasize original individual authorship and strict citation practice. However, in some educational culture, knowledge is viewed as a collective, and memorization or textual borrowing is considered as a legitimate learning strategy rather than intellectual theft. The difference can create a misunderstanding in global academic. This difference can create a misunderstanding in global academic setting, especially for international student. What is the label is a plagiarism in Western university may sometimes reflect a different culture or tradition of authorship and learning. Recognize there's a cultural variation helps reframe plagiarism as a contextual issue rather than a purely moral failure. Psychological motivation behind the plagiarism. Plagiarism often driven by underlying psychology factor rather than simple dishonesty. Research show that students with a low academic self efficiency, fear of failure, poor time management are more likely to engage in plagiarism. When students doubt their ability to perform well, and they may rationalize copying as a survival strategy to protect grades and academic standing. Additionally, social cognitive models suggest that plagiarism in intention are shaped by attitude, perceived social norm, and moral reasoning. A student who believes that plagiarism is common or unlikely to be detected are more likely to justify it. Emotional factors such as anxiety, academic pressure, and stress further increase the likelihood of misconduct. In this infographic, we also also the enhance the how why the student do plagiarism. In student time, it is not only student use control C or control V, but many people use the control C or control V. So emotional and motivational dynamic beyond cognitive reasoning, plagiarism is strongly influenced by emotional and motivational factor. Academic stress, fear of failure, grade pressure, and anxiety can impair ethical decision making during periods of high academic demand, especially in online learning environments. Students may experience emotional overload, making them more likely to engage in dishonest practice as a coping mechanism. Motivational also play a crucial role. Student driven primarily by extrinsic goals such as grades or external rewards are more likely to rationalize plagiarism compared to those motivational by interest in learning and performance become more important than understanding ethical standard may weaken. There's a finding suggests that plagiarism often emerges from emotional strain to motivational imbalance rather than deliberate more corruption. The digital age and online learning context. The digital age significantly transform academic practice and increase opportunity for plagiarism. This slide in describing how the digital age in people do plagiarism, reframing the problem beyond the punishment. If plagiarism is shaped by historical norms, cultural expectation, and psychological pressure, and digital environment, then treating is solely as an individual moral failure insufficient. Traditionally, academic response often focus on surveillance, punishment, and disciplinary action. Also, we see when people do plagiarism, they lose the educational integrity. Conclusion: plagiarism is often reduced to a simple act of cheating, but this presentation has shown that is the far more complex historical plagiarism emerged alongside changing idea of authorship and intellectual property. Cultural definition of originality vary across academic tradition. Psychological student intention are shaped by fear of failure, anxiety, motivation, and perceived norm. In the digital is easy access to information and online learning environment further intensify this pressure. Reframing plagiarism require moving beyond a punishment toward deeper understanding. Instead of viewing it solely as a moral weakness, institutional must recognize its historical construction, cultural variation, and psychological roots. Addressing plagiarism effectively, therefore, demand educational, ethical training, academic support, and structural reform within the contemporary digital learning system. This is my reference. Thank you, everyone. Now I'm open for question. If you have a question, feel free to ask.
So my question is, how does artificial intelligence challenge a traditional definition of plagiarism?
AI tools like ChatGPT complicate authority because generated content is not not directly copied from one source, but produced authoritical. This raises a new question about authorship, about originality, and intellectual ownership. So this way, AI challenge the traditional definition of plagiarism because the AI blur the originality, authorship, and intellectual no intellectual ownership. Anyone?
So, Sagar, my question, does digital culture normalize the content sharing in way that conflict with academic norms?
Yes, social media and digital platform encourage remix, repost, and uh, collaborative sharing without without citation. So this culture may conflict with academic norms with who follow the strict citation or individual authorship. So in this way, they may this way that conflict with academic norms. So thank you, everyone. This is from my side.
So good evening, everyone. This the presentation topic is the research writing as the systematic academic practice and structure, process, and ethical responsibility. These are my personal information, table of contents, research question. Research question is the clearly defined and the focused inquiry that the researcher seeks to investigate through the systematic study. It establishes the central problem of the research and the provides a direction to the entire investigation. And effective research question is the specific research and the academic relevant, ensuring the clarity, feasibility, and the significance within the chosen field of study. Hypothesis. A hypothesis is the professional of the theoretical informed statement that the process of the possible explanation of the predicts a relationship between the variables. It is the derived from the exciting the literature, conceptual and framework of the prior empirical research. Well formulated the hypothesis is the
and can be empirical examined through the systematic data collection and the research analysis. Introduction to research writing. Research writing is the formal structure by the systematic mode of the academic of the communication through the which scholars present their process and the finding of their investigation. It grounded in the critical thinking, analytical resourcing, and the evidence-based argumentation. Unlike the general writing, research writing requires the methodological clearly logical organization and adherence to established academic conversation. It aims not only to explore a specific research problem but also to contribute meaningful to exciting knowledge within the particular discipline through the careful documentation, proper citation, and objective presentation of a data. Research writing ensure the intellectual credibility, transparency, and the ethical responsibility in academic inquiry. The core structure of IMRD plus. These the diagram represent the standard structure of the academic research writing. Commonly is the known as the IMRD format. I is the introduction, M is the method, R is the result, and the D is the discussion. It show how how a research paper is the systematically organized. The process begins within the title and abstract, followed by the introduction where research problem is presented. Then comes the method section explaining how the study was the conduct, the result section presenting the findings and the decision where the result are interpreted. Finally, it ends within the conclusion, acknowledgement, and the reference. This structure ensure the clarity, logical flow, and academic credibility in the research writing. Purpose and significance of the research writing. The main aim of the research writing is to share the result of the careful study in the clear and organized way. It allows the research to explain the findings and the ideas using the evidence and logic reasoning. So research writing is the important because it adds to a knowledge, prompts critical thinking, and support discussion in the academic community. It also ensure the transparency by the showing source and the method, making and the research trustworthy and the valuable. Structure of academic research writing. Academic research writing follow a clear and organized format to present ideas the logically. It start the title and the abstract, then introduction that the states the research problem and the goals. A literature review sets the context and highlights the gaps. The methodology explains how the study was the conduct followed by result and the discussion. The paper ends within the conclusion summarizing findings and the reference to acknowledge source. This structure ensures the clarity, credibility, and the academic rigor. Process of a research writing. The research writing is a process, the process of a follow a series of organized steps. It starts with the choosing a focus topic of a reviewing exciting study to find gap. Next, research question are formed. Two methods are decide. Data is the collected, analyzed, the interpreted according to the objective. Finally, the study is written clearly, revised, and properly cited to maintain academic integrity. Methodology and the scholarly approach. Methodology and scholarly approach constitute the intellectual framework of a research writing, determining how a study is the systematically conduct and the academically position. Methodology of refers to the structure of the process research design, data collection method, and the analytic technique employed to investigate a research problem to a scholarly approach, on the other hand, reflect the critical engagement with the exciting literature, theoretical grounding, and the logical reasoning. Together, they ensure that research is the rigorous, transparent, and the allegation and the disciplinary stands therapy, thereby enhancing the validity, reliability, and the academic credibility of the study. Academic integrity and the ethical responsibility. Academic integrity and the ethical responsibility from the moral foundation of a research writing and scholarly inquiry. They require the researcher to present their work honestly and acknowledge all source accurately, and avoid the practices such as the plagiarism, fabrication of the falsification of the data. Ethical responsibility also include the maintaining the transparency in the methodology and ensuring the authenticity of the fielding, and the representing and the rights and the dignity of research participants were applicable by the adhering to established academic conversation and the ethical standard. Researchers preserve intellectual trust, promote the credibility, and contribute the responsibility to the advancement of knowledge within their discipline. Conclusion. In a conclusion, research writing is a systematic and the intellectuality discipline, the process that plays a vital role in the academic inquiry for the identifying a research problem to applying the appropriate the methodology and the maintaining ethical standards. Each the stage contributes to the credibility and the scholarly value of the study. The structure, organization, clearly purpose, and the adherence to academic integrity ensures that research writing is not only a communicates the knowledge effectively, but also upholds with the principles of the transparency and the responsibility. Ultimately, effective research writing strengthness and critical thinking, advance the disciplinary knowledge, and reinforce the foundation of the scholarly practice. These are references. Thank you. Any question?
My question is, how can research writing influence decision making in the real world problem?
So research helps people to make a good decision by a study data and given clear evidence. So next.
So my question is, how does research writing contribute to advancement of knowledge?
So research writing to find gaps, to exciting ideas, to evidence of the acknowledgement. So thank you. So this is from my side, and so this. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. My today's topic for presentation is Margins of Authority, the Politics of Content Notes in Scholarly Writing, which is an examination of how footnotes and endnotes function not merely as citation tools, but as political spaces where scholarly power is enacted. So these are my academic information. Research question. How do content footnotes and endnotes function not merely as supplementary apparatus, but as rhetorical and special devices that reshape scholarly authority, create parallel argumentative layers, and negotiate epistemological tensions, thereby constituting political technologies through which knowledge hierarchies are constructed and maintained. The hypothesis asserts with the three scholarly articles that Janet argues that paratext constitutes a zone of transition and transaction where meaning is mediated, while Grafton shows that footnotes create a double narrative of events and evidence. Content notes thus emerges as structurally constitutive. They enable scholars to manage competing epistemological commitments, address multiple audiences simultaneously, construct professional authority through visible erudition, and regulate which knowledge appears central versus marginal. The ML handbook's prescription that notes provide that essential justification or clarification masks the political question of who determines what counts as essential and according to whose epistemological framework. So, introduction. The MLA handbook instructs scholars to omit comments that do not provide essential justification, yet this raises a critical question that who determines what constitutes a diversion. Janet defines paratexis with these as a threshold of transition, and Grafton argues that it with double narrative thing. And if we look at this, that notes are rhetorical spaces which knowledge deserves central versus marginal placement. The MLA handbook on content notes. So the MLA handbook view notes as a supplementary, advising writers to avoid lengthy discussions that divert the reader's attention. However, this guidance assumes a hierarchy between a primary and a marginal note. By labeling some commentary as essential justification, the MLA handbook also participates in a broader politics of knowledge organization that is must to be critically examined. Theoretical framework, paratext as threshold. So Janet defines paratext as as liminal devices that transform a manuscript into a book. These paratext elements like footnotes and prefaces, physically part of the volume, possess a distinct illocutionary force. This allows a scholar to say otherwise in a note, qualification, or hedging a claim without destabilizing the primary argument in the main text. The double narrative in historical writing. So, as Grafton argues that in history, footnotes and the narrative of events, while the notes provides the story of how the historian knows. And these notes act as badges of expertise, and Grafton uses the low rumble of the dentist's drill metaphor to explain how their mere presence reassures the reader of the scholar's rigor. Rhetorical function of content notes. So the content, as Connor argues, that citation systems embody competing epistemic values, different assumptions about how knowledge should be presented and verified. Content notes perform at least 4 functions beyond the ML handbook's utilitarian framing. That are first is parallel argumentation, which notes enable yes but moves, acknowledging alternative interpretations without destabilizing main claims. Function 2 is authority construction, as Grafton observes that extensive notes demonstrate comprehensive field knowledge functioning like the dentist's drill to reassure through visible rigor. Function 3 is multivocal discourse, as Becher and Troller show disciplines address multiple audiences, and main text for general readers, notes for specialists requiring technical details, and this creates a layered reading experiences. Function 4 is epistemic hedging. Notes provide space for methodological reflections and limitation acknowledgement, creating transparency without undermining main arguments force. The politics of placement, as David Gretham reminds us that the margin is never neutral space, but always marked by relations of power. Decisions regarding placement, what is central versus what is peripheral, often signal whose interpretations matter, and relegating alternative readings or non-Western sources to the notes can subconsciously reproduce social hierarchies and reveal assumptions about who constitutes the primary audience. Next is disciplinary variations in note usage. So, as Besher and Troller demonstrate that disciplines function as tribes and territories with distinct epistemological cultures. These cultures manifest in notation historians. Extensive footnotes reflect empiricist verification commitments, scientists. Minimal notes reflective positivist assumptions that facts self-evidence. Literary scholars' theoretical notes reflect interpretivist pluralism, and Beserman shows these are not stylistic preferences but epistemological commitments about the knowledge's nature. As note usage is tied to the epistemological cultures of different tribes. So these are my literature review slides and conclusion. So in conclusion, content notes emerge from these analyses as structurally constitutive rather than supplementary. They are integral to managing tensions, addressing audiences, and regulating knowledge hierarchies. As Skerritt's observation holds true for scholarly notes, and placement decisions expose our assumptions about whose knowledge matters and what forms of evidence require justification versus what stands for authoritative. So these are my references, and thank you. If you have any questions.
So, Smriti, my question is, can citation systems themselves reflect power structures?
So, in a certain way, yes, the citation system themselves can adopt and reflect some of the academic hierarchies that are existing, and so it can be seen as that they reflect power structures.
Smriti, my question is, how does the double narrative strengthen scholarly credibility?
So the double narrative structure, the double narrative presents the both the argument and the evidence behind the argument, and so that strengthens the scholarly credibility with this dual structure of uh, of uh, double narrative uh, s- by giving by uh, giving the sc- uh, by giving the evidence and argument uh, structure in a way that the source it is as it reassures the readers that the source is verifiable and supported by verifiable research. So this was from my side. Thank you.
Hello everyone, good evening. I am Tanvi Mehra. Today I am going to discuss academic writing in the era of hyperlinks and digital sources. These are my academic information, table of content, and a research question. How have hyperlinks and digital academic databases transformed the structure, accessibility, and credibility of academic writing in the digital era? Hypothesis: the integration of hyperlinks and digital academic databases has significantly transformed academic writing by making it more accessible and interconnected, while simultaneously raising new concerns regarding credibility and ethical practices. Introduction. Traditionally, academic writing depended on printed books, journals, and physical libraries. Research was linear, and we read on text at a time, followed fixed citation, and build structure arguments. However, with the rise of digital technologies, academic writing has moved into a digital ecosystem. Today, hyperlinks, online databases, and academic networking platforms shape how research is accessed and circulated. As Peltridge suggests, this is not just a technological shift but a transformation in scholarly communication. Then, digital transformation in academic writing. The transition from print to digital platforms like Gestor and ResearchGate has expanded access to knowledge globally. Now, researchers can instantly retrieve a peer review article and conduct keyword searches. This has significantly accelerated literature review processes. Stapleton argues that digital environments change how students interact with text. Reading becomes dynamic rather than static. Then, hyperlinks and digital sources. This is one of the most important transformation, the role of hyperlinks. Unlike traditional footnotes, hyperlinks allow immediate movement between sources. This creates the non-linear reading structure. According to Oching, digital citation practices reflect this structural change. Academic writing is now network rather than strictly linear. So, knowledge is no longer confined to the printed page, it exists within an interconnected web. Then, advantages of digital sources. Digital academic writing offers several advantages. First, immediate access to update research. Then, second, global visibility of scholarship. Third, integration of multimedia resources. As Ramdhan and his colleagues note that digital tools also improve organization and revision process. So digital sources democratize the knowledge by reducing geographical limitations. Then, challenges of digital academic writing. However, this transformation also brings challenges. There is information overload, evaluating credibility becomes difficult, hyperlinks may decay over time, and plagiarism risk increase. Stapleton emphasized that web-based research inquiries stronger critical literacy skills, so digital abundance demands carefully evolution. Then, digital tools supporting academic writing. Modern academic writing is supported by citation managers, collaborative platforms, and AI-based editing tools. These tools improves efficiency when used responsibly. As Skolnick suggests, digital platforms function not only as research spaces but also as the writing laboratories. Then social platforms. Platforms like ResearchGate have reshaped scholarly networking. Researchers can shape pre-printed feedback and increase visibility before formal publication. However, these platforms require awareness of copyright and citation ethics. Then ethical consideration. In the digital era, academic integrity become even more important. Scholars must cite digital sources correctly, use DOIs, and avoid cyber plagiarism. Watching highlights that proper digital citation maintains transparency and credibility. Technology should support scholarship, not weaken it. Then best practices to ensure responsible digital writing. We should prefer peer reviewed databases, verify author credentials, use persistent identifiers, and combine hyperlinks with full bibliographic references. This hybrid model balances accessibility with reliability. Then case examples. Here is an example of MLA 9th digital citation. Even in digital environments, academic writing still follows formal citation systems. So although the medium changes, the scholarly discipline remains central. To conclude, academic writing in the era of hyperlinks is no longer purely linear. It is a network and interactive. Digital databases, tools, and platforms have transformed accessibility and collaboration. However, technology convenience must be balanced with critical thinking and ethical responsibility. The future of academic writing lies in integrating digital innovation with scholarly rigor. So these are my references. If you have any question.
So Tanvi, my question is, do you hyperlinks weaken deep reading habits?
Yes, sometimes hyperlinks can distract readers because they click on more links, and they lost their focus. But hyperlinks also can helps us to check sources quickly, and it depends on how carefully we use them.
So, Tanvi, in your opinion, is print-based research better than digital research?
Not better, but but just different. Print research is more stable and focused, while digital research is faster and more accessible today. So the uh, uh, they both are not same, but this idea and this combination is ideal. So this is from my side. Thank you.
Audible now for everybody? Okay, so first, very good collection of topics we had in this session also. Interesting discussions and really interesting questions were also asked. So, well done, all of you. Now, I'll take up the concerns first and then go on for the further remarks. First and foremost, major concerns. Atakshi, how did you decide on the topic? Like, what was your plan for the presentation? Like, did you think about what was the rationale basically? How did you come up with the topic? Like, did you read something or you wanted to know more about something or? Hmm. 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 Okay. So then after deciding that this is what you want to do, what did you do next? Yeah, that I understood, right? I understand that you wanted to work on research and writing, understandable, of course. What was the next step after deciding that this is what I want to do? This is my title. I'm asking because I want to know your plan of research. Basically, whenever you guys pick up a topic, right, you have a structure in your mind that this is what I'll put, this is how I want to proceed, right? Because the concern for me is that somewhere there is a problem in that process, which is why you have a major concern in your presentation today, and that is that research question and hypothesis were missing. What you did was basically define those terms. Right? In the section of research question, there should have been a question there. In the section of hypothesis, there should have been a hypothesis there. So I'm asking you because there there has to be a misunderstanding or some confusion, which is why those sections didn't have the designated content there. That is why I'm asking. So when you decide a topic, a particular direction in your mind you have for a presentation, so you directly go to the structure, right? You guys, all of you have a set structure that this is how the presentation is supposed to be prepared, right? So the first and foremost is your basic information, right? Academic and personal details. And the very next section is your hypothesis and research question, right? And what do you do there? You add in the research question, you add a set of questions, or even one question is fine sometimes, right? Or more than one is fine. Yes, that is there. And then in the next section, in the hypothesis, there should have been an argument, something which you want to prove, right? A statement, a direction which you want to go into. Right? Actual hypothesis, a statement, an argument, right? That is what it was supposed to be. Mhm. I'm sorry, I'm not able to get you. Hmm. 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 Sorry. Okay, let's pause it there. Okay, right now I think it would take a lot of time to clarify that discussion here, but just keep in mind that that was not what you were supposed to do, right? In your research question, there should have been one question. You have seen your classmates' presentation, right? In the section of research questions, you should have one question or more than one question. In the section on hypothesis, you should have an argument, a statement which you would like to prove, right? So then, in that case, right? That was missing from your presentation and you should work on it. Another is, sorry. Hmm. 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 Yes. Nice. Then, moving on, another problem or another concern in this case is asking relevant questions. You asked Smruti a question about citation. What was her topic about? Hmm. What was your title about? Citation. Was it citation or notes and footnotes and right? Content notes, the function of notes and how they function as a particular space which is a margin, but a very important margin in that case, right? Provide space for discussion which doesn't happen in the content of the paper otherwise. So then that was her topic about, right? How do the notes, footnotes, endnotes, content notes, what are their functions? What kind of epistemological function do they have, right? What is their role within a research discussion? That was her topic all about, right? So again, this idea that you should first see what the presentation is about and then ask a question, right? You asked her about citations in that case. So you first have to see what your presentation is, your structure, your direction, your understanding, then prepare the presentation. Then you look at other people's presentation, study their topic, study their, it's okay if you don't understand everything. It's totally fine, right? Because everybody goes on with their own objective, with their own purpose, with their own rationale behind a particular topic. It's totally fine, right? But when you are there, when you are present here, just take an overview, right, of what the person is trying to convey, trying to present, and then ask a question. So that is, from my side, I think those two were the major concerns, right? Apart from that, you do need to improve the slide formatting also. The slide style was a bit problematic because the darker side was not readable, right, in your slides format. So again, presentation, while you prepare the PPT also, slides should be well formatted in that case. So that is one. Sagar, one mistake in citation. Otherwise, the presentation overall was good. Right? There is one article which should have been cited as a journal article. It is cited as a web page. So you correct it. The article is a Taylor and Francis article, but you have cited it as a web page and not a journal article. So you should correct it there. Otherwise, the presentation was good. Then, Smriti, there is one minor error in the alphabetical order of the citations. Otherwise, the presentation itself was very good. And Krishna Bareya, no alphabetical order in citations, right? And I felt that you were not able to answer questions satisfactorily. What you explained was very, you say, very generalized response to the question, but still, you can still improve. But this thing you will have to correct. The slide of citations, alphabetical order, you should fix. And yeah, otherwise, I don't think there are any problems with any of the PPTs as far as the structural format is concerned. Hmm. 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 Website should always have a link. Right? Website you are keeping as a reference. Yeah. So then you can always take websites. You all take websites as reference, don't you? All of you do that. Yeah, even if that is the case, you guys do cite it. No? You cite even applications, you cite websites also, you cite blogs are one way, one type of website, if you want to call it that way, right? No. That is not correct. If you want to cite a website, you cite it in MLA style only. Now, MLA 9th edition, I think we've discussed this in classroom also. MLA, by the time you have the 9th edition, every type of source can be cited. In fact, they have added many new types of sources in the 9th edition. So you can cite a blog post, you can cite a website, entire website you can cite with the name of the web developers and everything. You can cite entire applications, you can cite videos. So basically they have extended, right? So don't just keep a URL, right? Cite it in MLA site style only, right? That can be done. If you use any online generators which have MLA 9th edition, they will help you out with this. They normally have the updated list of type of sources, so they will help you in this. If you use the script citation generator or even your, I think Quillbot will also have it, right? So types of sources you check. It should be according to 9th edition. Hmm. Hmm.
Convert in MLA citation. One link I must put in my reference as a reference like directly URL because
Okay. Okay. So then for that you will need manual citation then. Then you will have to use manual citation for that matter. Because if the generator doesn't allow you, it means it's problem with the generator. It's not your problem as such, right? So what you do is you do a manual citation and use the link as a hyperlink. So then it functions well. Simply putting the URL will put you in problem, right? So then it is better to always follow the MLA format only, right? But if let's say any generator is not functioning well or doesn't give you the desired outcome, the cited material, you will have to work it out. So manual citation you will have to do using Word in that case. So that is there. Yeah. Which brings us to an important consideration, which we discussed in the morning session also, and that is types of sources. A lot of you, I feel, are facing issues with this particular point in citation, wherein you are confused about deciding the type of source, right? Should we cite this as a web page or an article? No, especially when it is, no, it happens, Rajdeep. It's a common confusion, so I should clarify in that case. So then what is happening is in the morning session also, one of the students, they cited the web page, right? It was an article, but they cited it as web page. No, and not as an article. So in that case, you check. If you are using Taylor and Francis, then all the sources you access through Taylor and Francis are articles only, right? And if you encounter a particular cryptic website wherein the content is very good and it is research oriented, right, and you find it very authentic, in that case you check if they have given the first and last name of the author, if they have given the publication date, if they have even given the name of the journal, then it means that it is a journal article only and it is not a web page. As long as you have a name of the journal given to you in the web page, then it's not a web page, it is a journal article, and it should be cited as a journal article only. So in the morning, what happened was that the student had given it as a web page and then given the link, right? So not only was it problematic as a type of source, the link was opening to the home page of the website. So dual problems were there, right? Not only was the type of source wrong, even the link was not the correct one, right? So when you do this, and I think we did discuss this in case of Tanvi's presentation just now, right? Hyperlinks, they function, they are very integral part of citations now in the digital age, right? And if they don't open in the intended destination for somebody who is reading the research work, then it becomes a problem. It creates confusion. So then the way you use hyperlinks also matters. So then I think when it comes to types of source, one good way to tackle this confusion, tackle this issue is the kind of information you check, the kind of information which is available. And second is cross-verifying with a fellow scholar or a fellow student or your classmate, right? Just to see how they are doing it, right? Or collectively, if there are queries, then you can bring them up to me also in that case. So you check this, the type of source, and there is no confusion in citing the sources that are accessible to you. This will also happen in some open access PDF which you access, right? A lot of you are facing issues with that also. How should we cite a PDF? Now, in that case, you check what the PDF is about, right? If it is an article, then it should be cited as an article only. If it is a particular chart or a graph or a data set, it should be cited as a data set, right? If it is part of a book and it is an open access chapter, for example, it should be cited as a book chapter only, right? So that way you have to cross verify in that case. Clear enough? Okay. So then one by one, let's take Shruti. Good presentation, no issues. There was very interesting question asked by Shruti there, right, about knowledge production, right, and redefining originality. So when you have questions regarding originality, authorship, and plagiarism, or any of research methodological questions, and this is something which I mentioned in the morning session also, with each new medium, with each new materiality, these questions will be revisited, right? And there will never be a set definition to these things, whether it is plagiarism, whether it is list of ethics, whether it is academic integrity, whether it is authorship, whether it is the very idea of text. The problem has already started since birth, right? So even today, the same question persists, right? The idea, what is a text, has gone so much beyond just the written word that today nobody can say definitely that this is a text or this is what we call textuality, because the very definition of text evolves with every new medium, new materiality, new mode of writing. So even when you had Nirali's presentation, a very good historical perspective was employed in seeing how these things have changed over time. The very practice of writing from stones to clay modules to print and then to the screens, right? The problem has persisted. Every time there is a new medium, people then revisit what was the text, whether this text is reliable or not, whether this text should have a human author or not. What is authorship? What is textuality? Right? What is language, for that matter? And this we have discussed when we were discussing plagiarism and the idea of copywriting and all those practices, right? So whenever you take a historical perspective to any of the aspect of research methodology, you will see that with every new age and new medium, things will change, right? And that is what even Rajdeep has pointed out in his presentation when he was talking about McLuhan and Hales, right? The very idea of fluidity, which is now associated with screens and digital cultures, it is defying the very potential and practice of consolidation. There is no possibility of consolidation now because the text is fluid. And text is not having even a definite definition in this case. So then if that is the scenario, how do you decide what is standard? How do you decide what is institutionalized? How do you decide what is the ideal format? How do you decide what is ethical, what is unethical? How do you decide what is plagiarized, what is not plagiarized? What is academic integrity, right? That all those decisions then remain a very gray area for today, our contemporary age at present. Because if screens, and therefore people are finding it very difficult nowadays, right? That they say that if your principles are not properly defined, how are you to blame me for the mistakes that I commit? Because if, let's say, AI or let's say screens are not legalized yet, are not standardized yet, then everything that is happening is fine as such, right? So then what you need is one legality, some norms, some ethics. If it is documented in that case, what exists right now, what is documented is from the previous medium. For print you have, right? Entire books are written regarding academic ethics, integrity and everything. But for today it is missing. So right now that is where the problem lies, right? So documented ethics are not there. Legality of ethics is not there. You don't have a set structure. You don't have a consolidated structure for how to write on screens also. Which is why it is very difficult to define what is digital literature, what is electronic literature, what is AI literature, and what is collaborative literature. All these things are so much fluid. They often overlap between each other. Right? So a very thin line is there in terms of their distinction. And that is where our work now is, right? Our objective now is that how do we come up with this? The other side of things is that even if we come up with a standardized format of understanding for screens and AI and collaborative authorship, the problems will still persist. Why? Because everything that is not standardized would then pose a question. Why this and not that? Right? If you think that the first answer that a bot gives you is the standard one, let's say if that is what the legality comes up with, then what about the second or third or fourth or fifth or the 10th response? Why? Because every response is better than the previous one. That is where the challenge is. So then how do you standardize it? Should you standardize the 10th one or the first one? Right? Even with hypertext, the same issue is there. If there is no linearity, right? Although again, the question of linearity is also debatable, right? The way you define linearity also matters. So that is also there. But let's say there is no linearity in hypertext, then the question still persists. How do you standardize a hypertext? How do you consolidate a hypertext? How do you think, how do we come up with a list of, let's say, guidelines for hypertext? Right? Because nowadays it is very easy to even create hypertexts or even create your, what you do nowadays, like, day in, day out, your infographics and your charts and everything. It is very easy to create those now. And then comes the idea of potentiality. That is where potentiality enters. And this is something which I mentioned in the morning also, that every particular artifact, every object retains the potentiality to be anything you want it to be. That is the situation today. You can create hypertext out of anything. It is not necessary that it should be on the screen. Right? You can have what you do in experimental literature, in your Dadaist poems, for example, in your postmodern or modern texts, for example, is exactly this. You test the potentiality of the material that is available to you. How many types of literature can be created out of a stone? How many types of literature can be created out of a piece of paper? Right? Your web page, and if we are talking in terms of screen, then your simple normal web page, the very first page on your screen when you enter with an internet access, is a hypertext in itself. You click on Gmail opens. You click on the very infographic of just, if you click on Google, then it opens up what is that infographic about, what is this day, right? So that is hypertext. And there are multiple hyperlinks there in the single web page that you have. So then it carries the potential for a hypertext, right? Similarly, a stone carries the potential for anything you want it to be, right? If you carve it out, then you create a statue. If you just scribble on it, you create what the cavemen used to do, right? Creating figures with a stone. So then that is where things are. If those are the, delimiting of potentialities, the delimiting of materials and modes, right, then it is very difficult to come up with one standard format for everything today. And that is where the challenge of research methodology is, right? So from authorship to originality to plagiarism to ethics to integrity, now the question is even more pertinent because possibilities have increased. And that happens with each new medium, with each new language, right? So in the morning also, we had a very interesting discussion regarding Jai's presentation, who said that academic ethics and academic integrity have been currently defined according to Western standards, right? And he brought in the post-colonial context and everything. So then that is where things are. Now, since there are n number of possibilities, what will happen? Some people would come together and choose that this possibility is the standard one and say, now everybody follow this. It becomes a political case in that case, right? And those now those same group of people would assume power and then decide, and that is what we have been following. So in print, ever since print started, somebody said that this is the standard format which we will follow for research papers, for thesis, for dissertation. And since then, the tradition has been the same. Now, since print, gained very huge momentum in the Western context after Gutenberg's establishment, right? Since then, this narrative has been the same, right? Now, if we want to have a newer, newer academic integrity points, right? We have to come up with our own version then. And even then, however, the question of power will still remain. Even if we do have a newer alternative, the question of power will be there. So then basically the idea of research methodology keeps changing from time to time. That is one. Another is that every time we define a standard format for any aspect of research methodology, whether there is ethics, plagiarism, even the simple structure of a research paper, the simplest structure of a dissertation, the structure of a thesis, we have to have a historical perspective about it, right? Before we finalize something. And also the structure of citations, right? And how to use citations. So that is where Nishtha's presentation comes in, the method and the methodology, the what, how, and why, right? What do we want to define? How do we want to define it? And why are we wanting to define it? What is the need, right? If you identify the need, the what and how can be easily defined, right? So that is where very well-informed presentations were made today. So Rajdeep's presentation, I think I've gone over. Rosmin's presentation was also very good. Devangi's presentation, the idea of objectivity, now aligns with what I've just said, right? Even objectivity gets redefined in such a scenario, right? Should we follow objectivity or not, or how much, to what length would you maintain objectivity? Because now because of fluidity, what has happened is objectivity is defied in a way. Because the screen is not the same for everyone, you see. It shifts for everybody. For someone, the screen is the smallest. This is all that they identify as screen. For somebody, this is the most huge screen that they have seen. And with each screen, the interpretation changes, right? And therefore, it is needed that people, instead of objectifying things, they contextualize it. What is your context of the screen? How have you seen it? Right? How have you understood the politics of the screen, the nativity of the screen? That way you will define what your literature is and how literature has shaped you. Right? Because your screen will shape you and your screen will shape the understanding of literature for you and your understanding of research also for you. Right? So that is where things are. You answered questions also very well that were posed. Smriti's presentation was also good. Tanvi's presentation regarding hyperlinks also very good, right? So I think on an average, we have a very good understanding of RM here, right? Even Nikita's presentation was good. And we do need to now address, now when you think of future research prospects ever, right? You can think of all these questions and contextualize your understanding and prepare something, a research paper or whatever you want to, and share it with others, right? So I think we will end the live here. Thank you so much, everyone. Well done, all of you.